people like Matt Bell and others, for instance, have said that the evidentialism is a better way to go than presuppositionalism. You argue from evidence, and Matt Bell says he has evidential arguments for God's existence, and William Lane Craig takes that position also. William Lane Craig admits that presuppositionalism does not work because it's.
Where did you get that from?
I've read in a number of places that Craig says that.
Where did he say that?
I don't have the quotes on my.
Okay, I've read the quote in question.
Yeah.
And those people who have presented that quote of William Lane Craig essentially trashing presuppositionalism have cited it out of context. Do you know where it's from?
No, I don't recall. I don't have these memorized.
It's from the 5 views on on apologetics. So
his opinion.
You're pulling that out of your keister. You don't know what you're talking about. If you actually read the section in the book, he doesn't trash presuppositionalism, and in fact, he cites an argument from Alvin Plantinga, which he believes is even superior to the Ventilian presuppositionalism. So you're just quoting things that you don't know what you're talking about.
Is that Plantinga's evolutionary argument?
Right. The argument that William Lane Craig's, that he cites.
That's not a presup argument.
Okay, I will respond again, and then I won't speak to you further. You're pulling this out of your ass because you have heard people otherwise say that. Show me the quotation, the source, where William Lane Craig trashes the Ventilian transcendental argument for the existence of God or presuppositionalism. Show it to me.
Well, we've both seen it. I don't have it at my hand.
Well, guess what? I do.
Okay.
Clown.
All right. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to read it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to show that you're pulling that out of your keister, and you don't have it. It's from the 5 views on apologetics.
All right.
It's in the section where Craig is critiquing John Frame. Clown.
So your position is that they are
misquoting. You don't have a source of William Lane Craig trashing presuppositionalism. If you do, produce the source, clown.
Well, if he has, do
you have the source, or are you simply regurgitating a rumor that you have heard attributing to William Lane Craig that he trashed presuppositionalism?
We both have in mind the same quote. That's the quote that I have in mind.
Okay, good. That quote that you have in mind is a misrepresentation because the opening paragraphs, he's giving an example of those who would trash presuppositionalism. But he goes on to say, which is not printed in the online sources of people quoting him, the praises that he attributes to the transcendental presuppositionalism. Clown.
Okay. So what is his actual position?
So you see, here's a prime example, MK. Here, Brendan here is citing William Lane Craig as trashing presuppositionalism. And it turns out that Brenda is pulling that out of his butt because the source that he's pulling it from, Craig doesn't actually do it unless you rip out the opening paragraphs out of context. This is typical of Brendan making these remarks. I'm just citing it as a clear example where it's simply just a regurgitation of atheist memes allegedly citing William Lane Craig. What is cited is not what Craig was advocating or affirming. What they are citing was Craig repeating the type of reaction that commonly occurs to presuppositionalism. But after he cites the common reaction, he goes on to say, but this is incorrect. So you see, here Brendan is allegedly speaking authoritatively, and he's dead wrong. That's why I call you a clown, or should I call you a clownette?
Okay, let's address Brenda's claim that
I'm not discussing it any further. I just couldn't miss the opportunity with this just stupidity on his part trying to sound authoritative.
I will go through the key points of Craig's chapter, but I will also show all his text so that the context can be seen. So what does Craig actually think of presuppositionalism? For my part, I think that presuppositionalism is, to borrow Plantinga's phraseology, a groping implicit inchoate expression of the view articulated with such clarity by Plantinga, under the name of Reformed epistemology. Where presuppositionalism muddies the waters is in its apologetic methodology. As commonly understood, presuppositionalism is guilty of a logical howler. It commits the informal fallacy of petitio principii, or begging the question, for it advocates presupposing the truth of Christian theism in order to prove Christian theism. Frame himself says that we are forced to say, God exists, presupposition, therefore God exists, conclusion, even though such reasoning is clearly circular. It is difficult to imagine how anyone could with a straight face think to show theism to be true by reasoning, God exists, therefore God exists. Nor is this said from the standpoint of unbelief. A Christian theist himself will deny that question-begging arguments prove anything. If this were all presuppositionalism had to offer as an apologetic, it would be so ludicrous that no one would have taken it seriously. But at the heart of presuppositionalism lies an argument, often not clearly understood or articulated, which is very powerful. This is an epistemological transcendental argument. Unfortunately, Frame fails to develop for us such an argument. Instead, he confuses transcendental reasoning with what medievals called demonstratio quia, proof that proceeds from consequence to ground. Thus, Frame's apologetic turns out to involve no transcendental argument at all. By contrast, Plantinga's epistemology can be seen as an extended transcendental theistic argument. Plantinga's transcendental argument is for a generic theism, so it won't get you to a Christian God, which is what DD needs. Both of these arguments are philosophically sophisticated, careful articulations of themes that are rung in presuppositionalism, but with an uncertain sound. They are arguments that would be endorsed by any classical apologist and need to be differentiated from the confused claims of presuppositionalists about the inevitability of circular reasoning, the need to presuppose Christian theism in one's apologetic, and so on. Van Til, for all his insights, was not a philosopher. To be fair, Craig is wrong to say that Van Til wasn't a philosopher, but it seems he didn't think too highly of Van Til.
Does Craig ever comment on Bonson or Van Til?
In the 5 views on apologetics, he does briefly touch on Van Til, but he's mostly commentating on Frame. But when he comments on Frame, he's also commenting on Van Til as well.
Let's summarize. DD thinks that this paragraph is quoted out of context, and that Craig is merely repeating a common reaction to presuppositionalism. DD says the following paragraph is Craig saying that that reaction is incorrect. If DD is right, then why does Craig say, in his final paragraph, that Plantinga's argument needs to be differentiated from the confused claims of presuppositionalists about the inevitability of circular reasoning, the need to presuppose Christian theism in one's apologetic, and so on? What DD fails to mention is that Craig says that Frame fails to develop a transcendental argument, and when he approaches a transcendental argument in a footnote, the insight is not developed. Instead he launches straight into an evidentialist apologetic. Frame offers no transcendental argument at all.
Show me the quotation, the source, where William Lane Craig trashes the Van Tilian transcendental argument for the existence of God or presuppositionalism. Show it to me. You don't have a source of William Lane Craig trashing presuppositionalism. If you do, produce the source, clown.